ramp deck. It could be Valakut. It may just be mono green Eldrazi. I just saw an Eldrazi temple. I think we may have an Eldrazi green versus Valakut matchup here. So Christian's really going, as soon as he realizes that his opponent's on Eldrazi green, Christian's plan is just going to be to kill his opponent as fast as possible. He knows there's absolutely no resistance, and he just needs to figure out the line of play where Primeval Titan will finish the job as fast as possible.
And conversely, I mean, you're pretty sure that's maybe Eldrazi green with maybe some white, perhaps?
Ooh, white.
Like, I'm not sure what the white gives you. What did that give you if you're playing an Eldrazi green style deck? I mean, I guess it could mean that you're Eldrazi green with maybe like some planeswalkers, or maybe with extra walls. You could be like the Wall of Omens to make your battlements all the more efficient.
Yeah, and if you have Green Sun Zenith alongside Overgrown Battlement and Wall of Omens, the Overgrown Battlements make a lot of mana very quickly. Yeah. So that could be what we're seeing here.
And I mean, I think that probably what his plan is to get out the quickest legendary Eldrazi he can, and then attack with it before he loses.
Yeah. That seems like the right play.
Right? Like, I mean, that's so they're basically both in a foot race here. And, you know, they're both employed to make a mana race. That these decks are both designed to create that. That's got to be a fairly disappointing Colony Heart Garden, I would imagine. Because I think I saw more land in his hand and an Oracle of Moldiah, which I think would be a card he would have preferred to play here, but maybe I'm wrong.
Now I need a top deck.
The mono green version of this deck is actually, in my opinion, a pretty poor choice for this weekend. I think Kadaltha Red is just too strong. It's going to kill you before you can do anything. And to even, like, post-board, you need to have Ratchet Bombs, and you need to draw them, and you need to be on the play. It's hard to do that in games 2 and 3, so I'm not sure how that's going to work out.
What are your weapons if you happen to be the mono green version? What would you do to fight that? I mean, walls and, you know, growth spasm, and even, you know, basically, I don't think the 0/1 creation cards are going to get you there. You know, like.
Oh, certainly not. I mean, the deck puts so much pressure on it. It's not like it's attacking with one large guy that doesn't have trample. Yeah. It's attacking with this mass of 1/1s and 0/1s and 0/2s that are all getting Battlecry triggers off Signal Pests and Contested War Zones, and it just kills you.
Right. And Christian here is dropping a fetch land, and so he will be able to have the Colony Heart Garden, sorry, the
Colony Heart Expedition.
Expedition, my bad. He'll be able to have that cracked for effect next turn.
Is that okay with you?
So here we have Christian. He's casting a Green Sun Zenith for 4. So I wonder what he's going to get for 4. I guess an Oracle?
So
yeah,
looking right now at Josh Winter's deck list, his basic plans for this matchup in the first game, he has 2 Terastodon, and then he has a 4 package of Legendary Eldrazi and 4 Summoning Trap. So essentially, his basic plan is going to be to get down a Terastodon to try to cripple his opponent's mana, or to do something similar by attacking with a Legendary Eldrazi.
Makes sense to me. In his sideboard, he has Leyline of Sanctity, and that looks like it's the only white here.
Leyline of Sanctity is really great in this deck because he can actually cast it. And it's very likely that his opponent might not have any real expectation that it comes in for game 2.
Yeah, he has a singular Acidic Slime, which he'll almost certainly be bringing in the Acidic Slime as, you know, a land destruction spell to Zenith into. But if his opponent happens to play a Leyline and then draw a Leyline, then Christian could be in some serious trouble.
I mean, when we look at Christian's deck, right, Christian's deck is basically kind of a more creature-heavy Valakut deck running the 4 Greens Sun Zenith. And he's got Lotus Cobra as a part of his mana acceleration, Oracle of Moldiah. And if I look at this deck, to my mind, you've got basically 2 options with how you're going to sideboard it. You're either going to just leave it alone and let the effectiveness of the deck speak for itself, or you might potentially bring in from his sideboard a couple of these cards that are faster. Besides the Acidic Slime, which could be useful for a disruptive spell, Maybe bring in his Baloth and his Thruns just to have another line of play. But I would be really leery of doing that just because it would mean that you would be less effective at just being a Valakut deck.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I really like about Christian's deck here is,
Absolutely.
what is it, his,
Okay.
overall sideboard plan. Okay, so we have Josh here. Josh is putting some tokens into play.
How that happened.
He,
Seems like everything's all stuck together.
Getting
I'm
ready to
seeing,
go.
All my Titans in one place. I'm seeing all my.
I'm pretty excited about
other
this
stuff in
this
one place. Just like, that
the
don't
look
fit
of the
right.
Green Sun Zenith in Christian's deck here on the left. I mean, we look at it right now. He's got 4 mountains, 3 forests, an Oracle of Moldiah, and an Overgrown Battlement. So right now he's able to make 8 mana pretty easily. Well, I mean, obviously he can make 8 mana, which means that his entire deck, the spells that he can cast. That second Oracle is revealed. He's got an Evolving Wild on top, so that if he needs to, he can make things change up a little bit with the Oracle manipulation.
he's almost certainly going to play the Evolving Wilds off the top of his library here.
On the other side of the table, we have several GG's Live tokens that are joining that Overgrown Battlement. And looking at
Rashad
his,
looks pretty good on this token.
Rashad always looks good. Looking at his hand, though, it looks to me like he doesn't really... Can you tell what the one card he keeps flipping back and forth is? I can't quite make it out.
I believe it's an All is Dust.
Okay. Primeval Titan. Primeval Titan here, the
It's debatable.
the end game that is
Yep.
often starting on turn 4.
I mean, Josh is just going to untap here and cast an All is Dust. Just a pretty good answer to this board. He gets Christian's Battlement, Oracle, and Primeval Titan. He loses his own Battlement. It's a 2 for 3, pretty strong play. He gets to take the Primeval Titan out, which is extremely important considering the situation at hand. So
Now, slightly off camera is the overgrown, sorry, not the overgrown, pardon me, the Evolving Wild, and that's just off camera below the Valakuts.
yeah, so he still has that in play. He also has Primeval Titan on the top of his library.
Yeah, so that All is Dust is not going to do the same kind of work that he would have wanted it to do.
If he casts it, he just has to understand that his opponent's just going to re-Titan. Either shoot him with some Valakuts or...
I mean, ultimately, right here, a better play for him than the All is Dust, if he has one of his 2 Terastodons, is to Terastodon away those 2 Valakuts. Well, even then, that doesn't really do much work, because then the Primeval Titan in play just deals with it. Yeah, he pretty much just has to All is Dust, and then... Yep, lays the Temple, casts All is Dust.
I do not have any responses to that spell. Yep. Oracle dies.
and
my
his
Thunder does
Colony
take
Heart token.
His Colony Heart token dies, but his colorless Eldrazi spawn stick
Yes.
around.
The Growth Spasms.
Christian Valenti wonders for a second why, and he's like, oh yeah, they're colorless. And again, off the top, we're going to have a second Primeval Titan, which can, if he wants to, create 4 Valakut triggers, and then with his off-the-table overgrown, or
Evolving Wilds.
Evolving
he can do
Wilds, thank
another-
you, he can get another
Oracle Moldiah.
pair of triggers in. Oh wow, and he starts off with just the Oracle
They
of
just wanna keep
Moldiah.
coming.
Here comes Primeval Titan.
Now,
Primeval Titan trigger.
he could also get...
A single Valakud?
well, he could get
Right?
2 Valakuts, and
12,
that just seems strictly worse here.
Yeah.
He's just going to grab 2
getting out
mountains.
number 5 and 6. I have 4 Valaki triggers.
That's a lot of triggers.
Yeah.
So
His
deal
opponent
with
goes to
you
8 here.
8.
Now, if he flips a mountain off the top of his library, he wins the game right now.
A mountain or an Evolving Wilds or
Reveal my top card from Oracle.
a Terramorphic Expanse. He does have that in there as well. And the Evolving Wilds he can crack gives him another opportunity to find yet another mountain or other such source.
Anything that puts a mountain into play at this point, any sort of
Yep.
land that finds a mountain or is a mountain, is
Yep.
going to kill his opponent. His opponent's at 2 now.
And
All I want
he
to know
doesn't have
is
anything in his
Tower
hand,
Leader.
is that correct?
I think his hand is just empty.
Yeah, so...
Again, we see, you remember I was talking about Kara's Book of Tells? When people need
Yep.
to draw a card, they shuffle their hand. And you see here, he's got his hand face
Oh,
down
look
and he's
at
shuffling
that.
his hand.
Shows the Primeval Titan. So now, even if he had not, you know, even if
I wish.
Josh had had another All is
Well, I mean,
Dust,
kind of.
then all that happens
They're
is
almost
Christian
like
Valenti
that.
casts the Primeval Titan off the top and kills him.
That hand, that 6 hand.
Okay, so from the board. They both go to their board, and it's pretty obvious, as you brought up before, that Leyline of Sanctity is going to come in from Josh Winters. He's got 4 of them.
Yeah, I mean, that might be a pretty strong answer to Christian's deck. The other thing that you have to remember when you play cards like that, though, is you might end up keeping bad hands because they have the ley lines in them. And when you have those ley line hands, it's essentially as if you've mulliganed. So if Christian just gets an aggressive draw, he can often just beat you down with guys.
Yeah,
like
I mean,
he might just have an Avenger draw, and that might be his plan.
Which is a part of the reason that it's possible that you might bring in Obstinate Bailoff or Thrun just to have that other line of play.
Yeah.
I still don't know if that would be what I would do, just because I think it might not be effective enough. I actually do think that the Avenger of Zendikar from Christian might not actually be the way for him to go, just because I don't know that he needs that as his way to win.
I think he does.
Yeah?
I think that if his opponent has the ley lines post board, I think one of the reasons Green Sun Zenith is so good is that it gives you more options as far as your line of play goes. Like, he doesn't, like, if his opponent has a ley line in play, he's like, okay, well, I don't need to kill you with Valakut triggers. I can just search my library for an Avenger and put it into play and sacrifice some fetch lines and kill you.
But you can go down to 1 Avenger of Zendikar. He has 2. I could see shaving off the 1. Because he's not going to use the Avenger defensively, which is the usual, I think, use of the Avenger is get a defensive grip down, or a position on the table, and then follow it up by killing him.
I mean, I think you want the ability to double Avenger.
Okay.
You want to be able to Avenger and then be able to do it again after somebody casts a Lawless Dust. I like, Christian's sideboard is actually built very well. He has 2 Thrun and 2 Guy's Revenge. This is a really nice split because he gets to take out the 2 Oracle Moldias, the 4-drops, for the 2 Thruns, and he gets to take out the 2 Avengers for the 2 Guy's Revenge. So his top end gets to change against the control decks where he needs those cards.
So what does Josh do besides Leyline? Does he? I think he brings in the Acidic Slimes for the same reason that Acidic Slime would come in from Christian Valenti.
Yeah, he wants to kill his opponent's Valakuts.
Yep. Or just even if
You
the
know,
opponent stumbles on
calling
mana
card
a little bit,
expedition,
you know.
anything like that.
What do you think? He has all his dust in the board. I think he brings in the 3rd all his dust.
It's a distinct possibility.
And then, what do you think about this saucy number? Platinum Imperium, I can't speak.
Ooh.
8 mana, no life total change.
No business.
I mean, if your opponent doesn't have removal in their deck,
I mean, it might have, you know.
I really like it as a 1-of.
That's a
because
solid.
Like, I think that's just like a really powerful card. I remember Zvi
We have
had
tier 1 spawns.
had cards in his deck sometimes where he would just say, I'm going to play one of this in my sideboard. If my opponent doesn't have removal in their deck, then I'm going to side this in, and if I cast it, I just win automatically.
Yeah, I mean, like,
So-
you can kill it with a Valakut set of triggers, but that's a lot of work. That's a lot of work to kill him.
It might be more intended for something like a mono green Eldrazi mirror.
I mean, when I look at this, you know, he's got his Eye of Ujin to tutor it up. So we're getting our opening hands. I see a Summoning Trap in Josh Winter's hand. Not sure what else I see in there.
Christian's got some Colony Heart Expeditions. But he's only green sources fetch lands. Drew a Harrow. It's going to help out. Now he actually gets to curve out as he'd like to.
Right.
Absolutely.
The second turn is one of the deciding turns in this match.
Jarvis Tree Speaker comes down. Now, if Christian has sided out all of his ways to deal with that, I mean, oh, he didn't even have any Bolts main, so Christian is really going to hurt when Josh levels that thing. It's basically 2 cards.
Yes.
1 card. Let's go 1 card for business.
Tree Speaker is perhaps like one of the best accelerators for this kind of matchup, just because it pretty much is going to not be affected by most of the cards that the opponent does in the early game.
It's an interesting type of card advantage. It's the card advantage that Soul Ring produces. You create 2 mana off of 1 card. It's the card advantage created by a Karu in Ravnica.
We're gonna tap her.
Oh, and there's Rashad.
Making another appearance.
Always looking handsome. And there we go, the Tree Speaker into Chalice. Now, one of the things I do really love about the openings that are possible from the Eldrazi green deck is that it's even more explosive than the two-color Valakut decks. You know, like, he doesn't need his white mana for much other than casting Leyline of Sanctity. It appears to be basically the primary purpose of it. So, like, he's just generally able to have less cards that are potentially coming into play tapped, less cards that might not give him the initial, or less draws that might not give him the initial green. All of his sources, except for his Eldrazi lands, and, like, you know, a couple of small portions here or there, produce green. So he just has these consistent mana-heavy draws.
Now Christian gets to use Harrow. Harrow's nice in this type of matchup. You don't have to worry about your opponent doing something crazy like countering it. Sometimes it lets you cast double ramp spell on your turn 3. You get to put the 2 lands into play untapped, which allows you to play cards like Explore or Lotus Cobra. Or Overgrown Battle, Calling Heart Expedition. And that's exactly what he's going to do.
Cards in here.
After I draw, I'll have 5.
Sounds good.
Now Christian's going to explore a bit.
Think about if I want to do this
And
this,
on his expedition, he found this crazy mountain, Valakut the Molten Pinnacle. It's a volcano.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Alright,
So how much mana will Christian have next turn?
that's one.
Next turn, Christian will have access to.
See, next turn,
Does he have land in hand?
jump away,
I
put
can't
a
tell.
Titan,
I
get
think
it.
I
So
saw
land
one.
in hand, he has access to 8.
Right.
He has access to 7.
And right now, his opponent, Josh Winters, has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And he drops a land, 7 mana right now.
Now, what I'm expecting from Josh here is he probably has another Chalice in his hand, so he's going to ramp up really, really quick. He
I'm gonna play a little bit stupid. Pass
that-
are
it.
all of those summoning
I
traps?
see 2 summoning
Oh,
traps.
he may just pass the turn
This is the
here
plant
then.
token, correct?
That seems pretty good.
Nothing wrong with
Cast
that.
the summoning trap every turn for the rest of the game.
At the end of your turn,
Imagine we hit some Rockwool. It's lights.
Now here's where he's gonna tell me I probably made a play here.
Fair enough. You don't have any responses to this
I
email?
do not.
He's got to do a little bit of math. He's going to find 2 mountains here. He gets to play another Valakut from his hand.
Get two mountains.
He gets to do a lot of damage.
Oh, I
Yeah.
see what's going
He has
on.
to do is have like a Harrow, a Primeval Titan, or a Green Sun Zenith. And he's creating a lot of triggers. His opponent loses more than half of his life total. So Josh really has to hit something pretty nice on that summoning trap,
Hit my land for the
or he's
turn.
out of this game.
My butthole.
And then I will pass.
There it is.
Okay.
Titan. Trigger on the second.
And we have the classic 4 mountain, 2 Valakut, Primeval Titan.
Result trigger.
It's what you're trying to set up.
Yep. It's the most absurd version of the first Primeval Titans in the quote early game.
Yes. He turned 4.
Mount number 5 and 6.
Time period.
I have 4 Valaki triggers.
So now,
One.
the best possibility here, he's like, okay, I'm going to kill that Jiraga Tree Speaker.
Summon
And in response, we get the summoning trap, and it's looking for Emrakul.
That would be ideal.
Come on. Big
I think... I don't think I see it yet.
Oh, yeah, one more. Boom. What do we find? We
Primeval
found a Primeval
Titan.
Titan.
That's going to be a good Primeval Titan.
That is going to be a very good Primeval Titan. Now, it's true that if Christian Valenti untaps, he wins. The game's over. So Josh has to make something happen right now.
Well, I mean, right now, he can go grab some edges, right? And get those Valakuts off the table and delay Christian for a turn. And he will also get another attack phase first with his Primeval Titan.
I'm actually gonna get two
So it's not over. If he goes to the Tectonic Edges, it's not over next turn. I believe he already has 1 edge in play, is that correct?
I believe that is correct.
Yeah. So now his lands are Edge, Stirring Wild,
Oh, no.
Stirring Wildwood,
Depends on how you
Colony Garden, and some other source that probably
Would you
produces
like to
green.
cut this, sir?
Absolutely.
Oh, I do.
Now,
Oh,
the,
he did he not? Okay.
The Tectonic Edge wouldn't have too great of an effect. Christian has another Valakut in hand. So you could always just attack, grab another Valakut, play another Valakut.
Right, right. Well, I mean, it's also, if he has, let's say, an Olive Dust in his
I wanted
hand.
to seal in there, but we're gonna attempt to hope this is a
And all
blowout.
this would not be too shabby here.
Is it
And it does not look to me like he has one, honestly. Leyline?
That tag.
Exactly. what it
Ley
is.
line.
That's a pretty good
Works so
play.
good with
Yeah.
blue black as well.
I believe it. They can't duress or anything.
I mean, at this point, to my mind, you just attack with that Primeval Titan just to get stuff in play. You're not going to be able to use it defensively with those two Valakuts out there.
Yeah, I mean, he's just he
There we
has to
go.
kill the Primeval
Yeah.
Titan. He can't target him. So
I don't have any response. That's fine.
And now I think it's going to move towards the towards maybe Eldrazi temples, maybe Eldrazi and an Ayavujin.
that would make sense.
I mean, he has that Tectonic Edge, which he can use on the first Valakut, so he might get a second Tectonic Edge, but... Okay, there's the Ayavujin. Will he go with Eldrazi Temple, or will he go with Tectonic Edge?
Do you mind me asking a question? My part is Japanese.
But Green Sun Zenith just wins this for Christian, right?
When exactly do
Gets
Green
the,
Sun Zenith up the top.
gets the Acidic Slime,
Slime, kill your ley line, bash you.
yep, and he gets the Tectonic Edge for his second Primeval Titan so, fetch.
And we're going to allow you to block or whatnot.
I'll choose not to block. I'll take 6 damage.
Usually it is every place
Okay, that makes sense. So I have
So-
14 to 11. Is that what
Yes,
you have?
sir. I'm going
Clearly the
to
Zenith is an immediate win. Oh, a little bit slowed down there.
And it is
Still,
He has
still,
another
still,
Valakut in hand.
still okay. He's got a Valakut in hand.
Draw for my turn?
Yes, sir.
Looks like
It looks like
I
a
think
Green Sun Zenith.
it does look like it.
What if he played the slime?
Second one. I see him tapping one green. Now he's gonna do a little count. 1,
3, 4,
2, 3, 4, 5.
I'm feeling slimy.
That's being 5.
5.
That's it.
I think we have a winner.
How did I know it was going to be on the top of his deck? It's Christian.
Yeah,
it's
it was.
always
It was.
there,
It
you
was.
know? And that'll do it.
Alright.
Let's shuffle back in.
Yes, sir.
All he has to do is attack with his Titan, and that's game.
Okay.
Josh, good man.
Yeah.
Emphatic
See if I
handshake
made
there.
it. Instead of summoning shot, you should have coiled.
So now we have Christian Valenti, and as we said before, he's got a pretty good pedigree at these Star City Games events.
You've already seen me
And
play million lands, and if I weren't coiling
taking in
inside,
his second win to be 2-0 at the beginning of the day.
So